You are leaving this country who came for a bigger purpose just because the laws are not supporting.
Now I know in Europe, if people think of Sri Lanka, they don't have a really good thought about Sri Lanka because we know about these challenges, even though many people who would want to move to Sri Lanka and build something, saying, no, I have friends who tried it and who failed, and it's a lot of money you spend on this, and it's a lot of time, 3-4 months until you go through this process. Behavior, anything will be completely different. That's the point where humans say, okay, I don't know what they're going to say, we have to leave Sri Lanka, because then it becomes very dangerous. Because if a being, as it's known for hundreds of years how it is starting to act unpredictable, you don't know how to defend yourself anymore because you don't understand the behavior anymore.
Let's talk, let's collaborate, and let's coexist. Today, we are with the voice of animals, Dunja Will. Welcome to The Road to Greatness.
Hi, nice to be here.
Generally, everyone wants to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, but you became a communicator between interspecies. As a child, what was the moment that you realized, yes, I want to become different?
That's a really good question because I never wanted to become different. In fact, I thought it is the most natural thing I'm doing and everybody is doing it. Until in my teenage age, I realized, well, I don't think this woman is hearing the voice of her horse, otherwise she wouldn't do that. So it took me many, many years to understand that this is different and this is what I want to specialize in. I would say maybe 11 years ago, I started realizing really this is unique. Not everybody is doing it. And then a couple of years later, I was like, okay, I want to specialize in this because it's so needed and it's so wonderful.
You grew up speaking German, Arabic, English, 3 different languages, cultures. Like, how did that shape the way you think about communication?
Well, it gives me a brighter perspective. I had the chance to look into different cultures, to understand the humans better in their language. And what I realized, and this is very interesting, that language is doing so much to us in terms of like how we express our emotions, and how harsh or soft the language is, and how many words are actually there to express love, kindness, spirituality. And I realized it's not just what the words are telling us, there is more to it, right? So I understood, wow, in the Arabic language we have way more words for like calling your darling, right? We just have darling or honey or something. So more words to say I love you in so many different ways. And I realized, okay, to rely just on one language is not the whole picture. There are so many more emotions we could express. So that's when I started to understand, okay, I'm feeling way more than I can express in this language, on this language. So it gives you a better feeling for life and your emotions, and the understanding that you don't express through language, really.
According to you, language is emotions. So what was your first experience communicating with an animal? How was that? And what was the feeling that changed in you after that experience?
Yeah, so the first times I felt it as a knowing. It's an all of a sudden knowing, something you haven't learned, you haven't studied, but you know it all of a sudden, right? Let's talk about the dogs my father bred. I knew what they're suffering from or what they're needing right now without even going to a vet. So it comes like you just channel something and you know it. At the beginning you would be like, wow, like how would I know, right? As a kid you don't do that. You just like, hey dad, this horse needs this, you know, or this dog needs this, or this horse has a colic, right? Without anything being visible. And then it's like a screen share. They show you pictures out of moments, sequences, right? So that makes it very detailed. I'm a very visual person. So it makes it very easy for me to see the whole situation, what happened, and while they're sharing the screen, I feel their emotions. So the whole picture I'm getting is from their perspective. I lose my human being and I fully tap into their feelings and what they have seen. It's not a full movie, it's always like sequences. And then you have the feeling towards it and you right away understand, you get an understanding for the whole situation they have experienced. So,
Do you think it is a gift or it's a skill that anyone can learn and do it?
very good question. Everybody's asking me this and I do think everybody can, because it is just a matter of how much you lead yourself. What do I mean by that? It is controlling my mind and not letting my mind control me. Because in the moments I connect, I need to become a vessel. I cannot think about yesterday or tomorrow. I cannot feel about yesterday or tomorrow. I need to become blank to be able to be a vessel, right? And that requires discipline and empathy. So I do think it's like you have an app on your phone, but you have never used it. But I think it's there for most of the people who are consciously on this level and they know it's possible. They have already this feeling of intuition, this gut feeling, you know, that maybe, oh, I knew it. Something told me I was right, but I listened to someone else, or, you know. And this is the feeling you just train to listen to, because it's not as loud as your mind and your chatter. And I definitely think it's trainable and that people can learn it. I personally never had to learn it. It was always there because I never started like really doubting it or like restricting it or anything. I thought it's natural. So it's a connection. It's really a connection. How connected are you and how connected are you willing to be or to stay? Yeah.
That's amazing. Generally, the science describes animal communicates through kind of auditory, chemical, and visual tactics. But you describe it completely different, like frequency, emotions, vibrations. Can you describe more on it, please?
Yeah, I think I am not science. Science is something you want to see, touch, hear, and smell something. And that's not about it. That is exactly about stepping out of that mindset, needing to see or feel something, feeling in terms of touching something, that it needs to be real. Because honestly, have you ever doubted the Wi-Fi? Even though you can't see, smell, or touch it? It's there. We don't doubt it, but we use it. Nobody really understands electricity. We know, we turn the switch on and off, but do we really understand where's that coming from? Like, you know what I mean? It's the exact same thing, just that we started needing proof for something. So this is not really my way of like, I need to prove it. And it's not for people who are scientifically in their mind, because that's exactly the opposite. You need to step out of your mind and trust your intuition. So I'm kind of the opposite from the science, but it is proven, because how do I know all of these things, right? So that's how I would describe it. I don't even want to go too deep into science because that's just not my field. I know it's real.
Can you walk me through when you like sit with an animal?
Yeah.
What is that process? How do you communicate with them? And how does it have an impact in your physical and mental realm?
Yeah. So I personally connect to an intention. I mean, I ground myself, I sit quietly, and I have this one tick. It's very interesting. Even though I do my Zoom calls, my sessions daily, I open my hair. It's like an antenna. If I have like tight hair, it just like bothers me a bit and I don't get the connection. So that's the first thing. Like I open my, I know, I've never heard that before, but that's my thing, right? People are also already like looking, why is she doing this? And then I ground myself, my feet, and I just become very still, and I visualize something, like how I become the vessel, I open my chakras, right? And then I have a clear intention. I might have a name or a picture or anything, and then I just invite this soul and say, hey, I'm here, I would like to talk to you. Are you willing and able to do this? And then I get most of the time a clear answer.
You're saying that you do Zoom sessions as
Yes.
well. So you don't need the animal to be there physically present. Any distance, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, because a soul doesn't have a distance. It's soul to soul. It's not mind to mind or ego to ego. We need to understand it's heart to heart, it's soul to soul. That means it doesn't matter where this soul is. Like I'm calling you from Europe to Sri Lanka. It doesn't matter. I'm calling you, but I need to know who I'm calling. So I'm dealing a specific soul, and then I connect. Easy as that.
It sounds easy.
Yes, it is. It is easy. It's actually the opposite of studying or learning something. It's unlearning and becoming. And it's actually very easy. And coming back to what the feelings are, I do feel to a certain percent the pain of them. Like I do a body scan, let's do with horses. I'm specialized on horses, right? In the equine therapy, equine industry. They show me exactly, let's say a knee is injured. They show me how it hurts, like where exactly in the knee and how it hurts. So I feel it, not as in intense, but it gets tinglish or warm or something, and I can localize where is what. Okay, that makes it easy for me. That's my channel, how I receive. We have more than one channel, right? And that's the channel I receive.
You have worked in Europe and worked in Australia with wild horses. Like, what did those horses teach you?
Yeah, I mean, they teach me everything I am. Seriously, I would not be the person I am now and have the knowledge about the world and humans if I wouldn't have learned from them. They definitely have taught me empathy. They have taught me very important lessons like no judgment. They always said, you don't know. Don't assume you have to help or to do or to be. You just be yourself. You become a vessel. You don't judge. That's a very, very important thing for animals. They don't judge at all. So then ego, like our animals, they don't have an ego. It's a human thing. And they teach me more and more that our ego is more in our way. My ego was in my way. I once tried to connect and I couldn't. And then the tiger said, look, you're trying to connect. Oh, I'm the one, I'm connecting to a tiger. And seriously, I was, right? And he's telling me that doesn't work like this. And horses are very blunt. They are very they're turning their back towards you if you're trying to come with I know it and I am, and So they're teaching me these kind of things, and they teach me peace, how peace is, how not rushing through life and understanding that everything has a reason. Animals don't grieve like us. They accept way quicker than us, and they understand there's always a bigger picture we can't see yet. These are a few things I have learned from the horses especially. And I have worked, as you said, with wild horses. This is a very different kind of connection and work than with domesticated horses, because you see how far you have come when you work with a wild horse and he comes and trusts you and says, okay, I know your intentions and I trust you and I go the way with you, than a domesticated one, right? It's very beautiful.
You're specialized with horse.
Yes.
So what makes horses different from other species and the communication?
I mean, the communication is always the same. It's always telepathic, non-verbal communication, and there's no difference. I could communicate to an ant, an elephant, tiger, everything. But the being is different, and their understanding of this world and the life, because I have seen, I have worked with elephants and realized they have access to our Akashic records. Horses don't. They are flight animals. So they have a slight different perspective, but they heal. So the being is different, and it has different benefits or values and different perspectives. But all is one consciousness. They're just showing you different parts of the diamond, right? So it's very interesting to get to know these beings and what they stand for and how they actually perceive life and you and humans in general, right? So it's very different from a wild horse to a wild elephant, how they perceive their freedom, their life, their food, everything. So yeah.
Tell me, what is the most extraordinary healing experience that you have witnessed that you have not facilitated, but the animal has healed its own self?
Well, it's always the horse in this case or the elephant. I have done healing sessions with elephants. But even I facilitate, I'm just the translator and the vessel. Here again, it's always the animal doing the work. So what was absolutely amazing was a child, haven't spoken a word, and he was already 7, right? He was an autistic child, haven't spoken his first word while we had a healing session. And it's not that I'm active, I'm holding space for that, I'm witnessing it, and in the meantime, the horse is telling me a story, like what is the reason for this soul reincarnating into this lifetime, into this body, having this experience as an autistic child, right? How we label it. What would help? What is something this soul or this child now needs to be fully supported, right? What is the reason he hasn't spoken before? What gives him now the safety that he speaks? That's what he's constantly sharing. The horse is constantly sharing with me while he's making, like he's taking all that is and putting it into the earth. So we humans get lighter in the same time. So they take everything that doesn't serve us anymore, and we are willing, that's very important, we are willing to let go of. They're taking it over, but they're not keeping it in their body, so they're putting it in their ground. You see at some point they're also standing like this, or they're putting their head down. That means they're releasing it. And while they're doing it, they're communicating to me what is actually happening, why, and what is needed right now. And I think that is amazing. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm still there. I'm still holding space. What is important, it's never in a room. It's always outside where there's air and we can let go of everything so nothing gets really stuck. And I had similar sessions with elephants as well.
You told about a child.
Yes.
And how are the child and the horse related?
How do you mean?
You told a 7-year-old
Yes,
child.
exactly.
And the horse. How are they related? I mean, the horse belongs to the child?
No. They came for a session. They came for it. Yes, they came for a session, definitely.
Okay.
We had the horses. I have picked a specific horse who is absolutely in good conditions, health condition, who can do this kind of work, right? This is also very important to check this. Yeah. So they came for a session, not knowing that healing will actually happen. They came for a session, we just want to try it out, you know. We have the feeling we should bring him together with animals. And then here I came. So they knew me, right, from in the village. That was in Germany. It was absolutely fascinating, yeah.
I understand now.
Yeah.
What did the horses tell you that they want from humans?
Yeah. A lot. The first thing is coming to them or having them or being with them just because they want something. So they really desire spending time because they actually have a really good relationship to humans, right? Most of the horses I met, even the wild ones, at some point, they did understand what happened and they have a really good relationship. What they would like is to invite them a little bit more into their life, saying, you know, why are you hanging on to that situation in your life? This emotion, why are you struggling so much where no struggle is needed? So they're actually inviting us to more peace, to more stillness, to just being, to more observant, but in the same time they are very like playful and joyful. Like I see that very often in the equine scene when I talk to the horses, that they would like to do something outside of the training, right? Just being together, going for a walk. I've heard that so often. Just go with me for a walk. We have a lake there. Just go with me there. Go with me into the forest. Do this. Just jump with me over that. Just be a little bit joyful, just as you have been years ago, because they knew who you were and who you are now and why. So they're actually showing us how we can find our joy back and be childish again. So,
It's kind of an unconditional, unlearned connection.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And unconditional love, big times, definitely. Whatever happens to them, even if they are not happy in their situation, they love unconditionally. So they show us really what that means and how we could be, because a horse is pretty strong. They're pretty strong. So if they would, they could. But they're just showing us, okay, you're not there yet. It's okay. I forgive you. I still love you. I forgive you. I stay. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
How has this transformed the way you communicate with the humankind and love the humankind?
Yeah, definitely. It has shaped in ways. If I see, let's say, another mother doing something, I don't judge, because I do not know what she's going through, what her situation right now is, where she's coming from, right? I understood what acceptance means with love. I understand that nothing is how it seemed to be, and that everything is changing, everything can be changed. This is they told me, the horses told me very often, just because it is right now doesn't mean anything, and I've learned taking life lighter. It's just, it is what I've heard that so often. It is what it is. Even if I asked after abuse or anything, it is what it is. It is the life I've chosen, very often. That doesn't mean we should do that, right? But they don't why is it like this? Why me? They don't have these thoughts, They are just very light from all of this grief, anger. They forgive, pure forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big topic I've learned from them, and I struggled, but I've learned.
You said you got a telepathic call with the Sri Lankan elephants, a very clear and urgent call. Can you describe the experience precisely? What was it?
It was actually a funny story. So I was in Italy at that time, and I think 3 days earlier, I woke up, and it's like this the last 13 years, right? I'm like, okay, I have to leave. That's it, right? I had already my little one, and my partner said, I have to leave. Where? I don't know. But I don't ask these questions because I know it's coming. So I met a family with 2 pit bulls, and I have a lot of experience specifically with these dogs. And I said, and they were struggling. I said, hey, may I help you? And they were very friendly. I helped them, and they invited us for a wine. So we went there, and all of a sudden this woman, she looked at me and she said, you need to go to Sri Lanka. And I literally said, what is Sri Lanka? I haven't been to Asia before. I had no connection to Asia, never thought about it, never heard of Sri Lanka, to be honest. And then I just let it sink. That's how I am. And I felt, yeah, that's the place. So 1 day later, my partner looked it up and he said, they have leopards and elephants. And then I felt that, somebody's saying something in you, oh, that's what I was looking for, elephants. So I said, oh, that's it, I'm going to work with the elephants. And I had the urge, we booked the flights blind. I didn't even look it up, where we're going to end up or anything, because there's just one airport, And elephants. And then the first called me, right, saying issue, because I didn't know anything about the human-elephant conflict that time. I just felt the urge, okay, elephants. It was new territory for me, talking with elephants, right? And I was like, wow. So I came here, and right away, everything came. They told me about and then I looked at it here's a human conflict. Because I saw a lot of dark scenes as well. I saw injured animals, I saw death, I saw people screaming, I was like, wow, what is going on here? And then I got to know.
So when you first arrived in Sri Lanka and sat with the elephants, what did the elephants tell you?
So the first one was telling me in his herd who got injured and from which human. well, I saw a picture, I can't tell his name is this or this, I saw a picture. And then they told me about food shortage in the environment. There are some specific plants not growing so much anymore. So they told me about this issue. This was the very first thing I've heard. And then I've heard about they have to go to some celebrations sometimes, and they shared the experience about that. And it was not really a pleasant experience, but they shared it in detail, right? I could see that. I could understand why they like it or why they don't like it. So, yeah.
You describe each elephant has a distinct character, a personality, voice. Like, tell me of an individual elephant, an experience that it shared with you, putting into a character.
Yeah, we need to understand this. It's time to understand that not each elephant is the same and not each horse is the same, even if it's the same breed, right? They are very unique in their thinking, in their needs, in their wishes, okay? So one elephant, I'm going to take him. It was Raja, an absolutely amazing elephant. I came to him and he told me he's injured on his foot. So I was like, wow, I freaked out. I told this to owner, right? And he said, yeah, we know. We're treating it for 4 months, but it's not healing. So I went back. I was like, Raja, it's not healing. Yeah. And they said, the issue is that I'm tied and my urine is infecting this over and over again. And the worst is, it was the back right leg, is my left front now hurting because he can't stand properly on this leg. So now we're creating more issues because he's tied down, because he's in must. Even though he was very kind, he's like, I'm not doing anything. Must is actually already over. Please free me from here. So that was absolutely precise. So the guys were like, no, he doesn't have anything on the left front. And I was like, I came closer and he started lifting. I have pictures of that, how he's lifting the leg up to show, yes, I have pain because I can't stand on 3 legs all day. So or something that was also good. He said, I like carrots. So then the mahout was laughing, since when are elephants eating carrots? I had no idea about elephants. I'm just a translator, right? So I asked, and he said 2 years ago there was a festival, I don't know, a big festival, and they had for the elephant, and they had carrots there. That's where he first tasted carrots, and he liked them, and he never got them again. So he's sharing that, and then the mahout said, this is so interesting, because I realized he always loved red. When I come with red, he's very calm. So we got him, of course, 3 kilograms of carrots, and he was super happy. Yeah.
You say conversation with the elephants, they told you about their health issues, their food requirements, to the trauma resolutions and stuff. So these things were not known by the handlers who were there with them from years and years. So can you give me a most dramatic example, what happened even after you telling the handlers about these kind of situations?
Yeah, first of all, the wound healed within 2 days. I put something on top of it. I had some powder with me, and I really stood there until they released him a day later, and then it was healed. The reason you're asking why we have this conflict, right? Even though, experts are there. I think the biggest problem is that we try to solve a problem from a human perspective while an animal is involved. We never ever, if you don't directly communicate with an elephant, you cannot feel their perspective. So you're trying to solve a problem when an animal and a human is involved from your human mind. So I think this is one of the biggest problems, because it's just what we assume. It's all assumption, it's guesswork, right? And we don't even communicate with them, so they're not really involved. That is like trying to find a solution for a problem while I'm creating more problems, and this side is not involved, so they're confused. There's a big confusion between humans are confused, animals are confused, but of course the elephants are more confused because we act unpredictable, and from their logic, from their perspective, it just doesn't make any sense. So instead of somebody communicating with them, which is not happening, they start resisting because we're taking over food, water resources, land. So they don't understand. They start resisting, saying, why? We just want to survive, basically.
Sri Lanka has one of the worst crises of elephant and human conflict.
Yes.
And the conversations had been going on for decades, but still elephants are dying and the people are also dying. But we have not come to a solution, and it's getting worse and worse day by day.
Yeah.
Why is it?
Yeah, here again, it's the elephant perspective is missing, and really sticking to our word and doing something for them, because we cannot just take and think, okay, we have a crisis, what are we going to do? That is not possible, because this being is just trying to survive, really. And we need to understand this is crucial. Sri Lanka needs elephants. Otherwise, your nature will not be surviving. So the elephants are part of Sri Lanka, and we have 44% of Sri Lanka is shared, wildlife and humans. So if we try to just think from a human mind, that's not going to solve the problem. If we think we can just do it through science, right? Or like fences or lights, this is not going to solve the problem. So we need to think beyond what we were trying or they were trying for decades, because obviously that is not working. So if you're trying to find a solution, you need to open up your mind and look for different kind of ways to look at the perspective or ways to solve it. Because what I also see here, it's called managing the elephants. Well, that's not really kind, and that's not really what it should be, because you will not be able to manage wildlife. And honestly, the wildlife has just the right, as much as we humans have, to live and have all the freedom they have, right? And everything what has been done so far was not in the interest of the elephants. It was all for the humans, and that is the basic of the conflict. Because we have a conflict between two species. We need to find a common ground for both. We cannot just say, it's sad, of course it's sad, humans are dying, but elephants are dying too, right? So, and fact is, elephants didn't start the conflict. It was the human, because Sri Lanka had for years and years never human conflict. Why was that? Farmers were singing for elephants. No, trusting the intuition. There were experts asking all the men, right? How did you survive? Like, how did you even know when elephants are coming? He said, I feel it in my hair when an alia is coming, right? He said that. And he said, look, you take half the crop, you leave half the crop. And they left exactly half the crop, because that's fair. You cannot just say all for me and you go. But there's no food, because we took all the land and we built it hotels and all of that. Well, we need to understand they're just trying to survive. They're not trying to kill and to attack and have a conflict here, but they're trying to survive. And if you keep traumatizing these beings, which is done, right, for a very long time now, of course they're going to attack you back, right? So the biggest issue is definitely looking from a human perspective and keep doing something that has been failing for at least 25 years and thinking, oh, well, the situation gets worse. Yeah, like you can't over and over do the same thing and think the result will be different. That doesn't make any sense. And just thinking of the humans won't make a conflict better between two different species. So we need to start thinking, we need to start communicating, and we need to start understanding their perspective and say, okay, we need to find a common ground. What can we do in terms of you don't take the crops off, right? And you will see a really, really quick difference in the behavior of the elephants if we would just do the step and say, look, why don't we find together a common ground? And this is definitely possible with animal communication.
So in your opinion, the whole elephant-human conflict had been looked only in a human perspective and not the elephant's perspective.
Definitely.
And interspecies communication is the best solution that can literally solve this crisis.
Definitely. because everything has failed so far. Nobody has even tried to communicate, of course, except me. Like how, because they're very open. If each conversation they had, doesn't matter if it was a wild elephant or a domesticated one, they were sharing really openly what the problem is and what they would wish for. Well, then the humans don't do it. That's an issue, definitely. And they have a whole different perspective on the problem, because for them it's not an elephant-human conflict, it's a human-human against wildlife conflict, you know what I mean? So definitely, I think that's the solution, yeah.
And you pointed out that this human-elephant conflict, the elephants are acting out of grief and not rage and anger.
Yes.
But the whole media and the conversationalist is portraying as completely different.
Yes.
And what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think that is very good that you point this out, because it's important to understand it's not what it seems to be and not how people position it, right? There is a lot going on in the social media world. Why you position it, it's like a clickbait. Aggressive. I saw recently a video, half a year ago, an elephant walking down the street peacefully, people standing there offering watermelons and bananas, and the guy said, clickbait, aggressive elephant terrorizing villages. Nobody was terrorized. And this is not good for Sri Lanka, first of all. It's not good. And second of all, that's not solution-based. Like, how can you come to a solution with another species while you're saying aggressive, terrorizing? Well, nobody's terrorizing here. You started taking everything for you and taking the land and everything. And now you're saying we're having a conflict. So this is one thing. And the other thing is, elephants are highly intelligent. And they're giving their traumas, their experience, even in pictures and emotions, just like they're sharing with me, to their newborns. So that means the last decades, every new elephants are coming, they're being taught from their parents, mostly the mothers, be careful, if a torch is on your head, they're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you. Be careful, if a human comes, he will somehow try to kill you or injure you. What does it mean? You defend yourself right away. So that's why we experience now more and more attacks right away when you encounter a wild elephant out of nowhere. But that doesn't mean they have started or they are aggressive. It's defending themselves. If your mother says, each time a dog comes to you, he's going to try to kill you. You're going to be super afraid, and if a dog comes, it's just you and the dog. You're going to defend yourself. You're going to start first, right? So that's a big thing people don't think about, and I think it's time to open the eyes for that, because we're really good in pointing out they are the problem, but they are not. They are definitely not. They're actually sad about it, and they don't care about humans so much, like, because we're sharing life. They're like, we just want to survive. But you know, they killed for decades.
I think.
And now the worst part comes. The most ones who are getting killed are the adults. So now there are many young elephants growing up without learning how to socialize or how to behave. This is a very, very big problem. I talked about it 2 years ago, and now we're seeing it. Because what happens is, because we will be really shocked, and this is going to come, I'm telling you this now, elephants are going to start behaving unpredictable. So everything we learned about their behavior, anything will be completely different. That's the point where humans say, okay, I don't know what they're going to say. We have to leave Sri Lanka. Because then it becomes very dangerous. Because if a being, as it's known for hundreds of years how it is starting to act unpredictable, you don't know how to defend yourself anymore, because you don't understand the behavior anymore. This is when science will fail. This is why we need to look beyond everything that science tells us, okay? And this is happening. A problem is definitely that the young elephants don't have a role model, no mothers, no fathers. They all get killed. We don't have many tuskers anymore, right? And they become even really unpredictable under each other, because they lose the ability to live like they are supposed to live. Then they get relocated. That's another problem. So we're facing a lot of challenges, yeah.
One thing we can't do is we cannot change the past.
Exactly.
And what
this is not
we
necessary.
can do is change the future. And the generational trauma for the elephants have been created by us human beings.
Definitely.
And as mankind, what can we do right now if we want to change the future and find the actual solution but just not talking?
Empathy. We start opening our hearts, because everything what's happening right now is here. Even the young children in the villages get trained evil, enemy, and showing to elephants. We need to start feeling with our hearts, and that's when we start seeing the being as it is, innocent. It's just a being trying to survive. Animals, just as elephants don't have an ego. It's not they're doing something on purpose. They're just following their intuition. They are like crossing the country every year the same way through their intuition. They just want to survive. So the very first thing is, instead of having rage and hate against another being, we start opening our hearts. We are training ourselves to empathy, and we try to understand, what if I would be in his shoes or her shoes, this elephant's shoes? How would I feel? Come to this village and everybody's trying to kill you. What would I do? Just put yourself in the shoes of this being. I think that is very important. We need to stop being selfish. No, I'm scared. It's a wild elephant. Well, So I think these are the very first steps we should do. And everybody can do it right now, from now.
Animals choose you to speak for them. You could have choose anyone. Why you?
I don't think they choose me. I think I chose to listen. This is a huge difference. Just as I told you before, everybody could learn it. I chose to not disconnect and say, oh, that's not real. I don't know. I'm going to be, a hairdresser, an engineer, a lawyer. I chose to listen and to say, but what if it's true? I could help, because I've heard mostly it were animals who needed help, right? Of course, I had normal chats as well, but it's mostly help, and my heart felt called. So I don't think they chose me, I chose them.
And you are also a mother of a 5-year-old child.
Yes, I am.
And you are choosing a completely different trajectory of raising your child, homeschooling.
Yes.
Why homeschooling, and why not regular schooling?
Because I see the outcome from regular schooling. We're facing challenges like this. And because I want to give him exactly this wisdom and knowledge. I want to share the life, how the life has been shared by the animals. And I want to give him more freedom. I want to see his uniqueness and his talent. Why does he choose this life? Why did he came for in the first place? Who is he going to be? And I'm just letting him be, right? A lot in nature, not sitting very unnatural for hours. I'm not authority. He respects me as his mother, and he knows sometimes I see danger before him. But he also is very self-confident in knowing. He just has this very strong knowing, and he follows it, because I never untrain him to this. Of course, I teach him certain rules, like in society, what you do in a restaurant, what you shouldn't do, but I don't limit him. And I think there's always a time for certain things. There are very important things like mathematics, writing, reading. This is very important, but not in an age with 6. When the brain is ready, I choose to support him with this and say, yes, let's do it. And he's coming for certain things. And then I just follow him, because we should let children teach us, because they are still very connected. They are very wise, and they would make a very peaceful and kind world, really.
For the parents who are watching this episode, and for the parents who are going to become, what is a piece of advice you would like to say?
Don't know it better. We always think we know better because we went to school, we got educated, but what if that is not true? Why don't we just follow and let them lead us and show where it goes? I think we should just let go a little bit more and don't fear so much. I see that very often. They're scared that something happened, and they need to experience life on their own and show us maybe something we have forgotten, right? The joy, the small things. Patience is a thing we're going to learn from them. So I would start just as a mom, as a first time, observing the child instead of like wanting to interfere all the time. Just give it time and observe, because that's when you understand, wow. That's what I would say.
That's really amazing. And when you flew into Sri Lanka, when you came into Sri Lanka, you came with a huge purpose, a calling.
Yes.
But the situations in the current system is not friendly enough for you to achieve those dreams and calling, which is not selfish, but it's for the public and for the country, Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Why do you think it's hard in Sri Lanka to launch a business as a foreign national?
So definitely the visa laws are a big challenge, and if Sri Lanka would restruct the visa laws based on the individual, on the goals of this individual, are you coming to invest in this country and have more people, like work for more people? That is something really good, and I think very beneficial for Sri Lanka, especially after this really bad crisis. But just letting tourists coming in without even checking where they're from, what is their goal they're coming from, and saying no right away is a big challenge for people who would make a huge change, in Sri Lanka, who are leaving because they are families, they wanted to do a business, even they have started a business, they did not get a permanent resident, which I think is absolutely impossible, as somebody is investing hundreds and hundreds of thousands in your country. That's somebody you should support and say, you're welcome in this country. I do understand certain tourism should stay tourism, but people who would make a change and help Sri Lankans, right, and the country itself to grow is something which should be supported, yes.
All our politicians, we say we are welcome to foreign investments. And we want foreigners to create businesses in Sri Lanka. But our current policies and systems are completely not supporting. It's in words.
Yes.
But the papers are so difficult to get through.
Yes.
And how do you think, what kind of a change that the government can do to facilitate more foreign investors and people to do business in Sri Lanka?
I mean, the first thing is definitely, if somebody has set up a business, they should not have to go through this very challenging process each year. That is something which is not really beneficial for the country, and it doesn't give a good, how you say it, like, now I know in Europe, if people think of Sri Lanka, they don't have a really good thought about Sri Lanka, because we know about these challenges, even though many people who would want to move to Sri Lanka and build something, saying, no, I have friends who tried it and who failed, and it's a lot of money you spend on this, and it's a lot of time, 3-4 months until you go through this process. So I would really recommend to either go through country to say, okay, because I know Sri Lanka needs value, like I understand that, but there is a way. There are currencies you should let in, and you should maybe check on goals. If somebody comes and wants to renew the visa or ask to stay, ask why. Just see the person behind, see the goal behind. You just want to stay here and work here, or you actually want to build something, you want to create something, and you're going to need Sri Lankans to help you. That's something you should definitely support, I think, yeah.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced while you started off this documentation process and stuff? Because it's a very sad thing that at this point of time, you are leaving this country who came for a bigger purpose just because the laws are not supporting. And this is not only your story, but for so many different nationalities who wanted to genuinely create and build business and opportunities for Sri Lankans.
Yeah.
And they're not stripping away Sri Lankans' money and opportunities, but creating opportunities for them. So what's your take? What's the challenges?
So, yeah, I would say finding the right person. Like it's very hard to find the person who's going to help you. Like I went through offices from person to person. Nobody's responsible for you, you know, and at the end, nobody's doing anything. Like your paper is still there. 4 months later, you call, your paper is still there. Then, I mean, this is the biggest issue. You don't know where to go, where to ask, and who's going to help you. Then even lawyers are not taking on these cases anymore, because they tell you from the beginning, it's not going to work out. I had clients trying for 10 years and they had really good business this year, and they ended up leaving the country. So I think having a proper office where foreigners could go and ask, right? And say, okay, here I'm going to get support. And then most of the people aren't even sure about the laws, even in the visa offices, because it's changing so often, a lot of confusion is there. People don't know. That means they can't even help you. And at the end, it's always no. They don't even, it's just a form you fill. It's nobody you talk to, and then you get it declined. Yeah. So, I see challenges everywhere. The whole system needs to think, okay, what is the benefit of that? Why should we look at it? And how can we structure it? Because there's no structure. It's completely white. And then you see on social media saying, oh, now in 2 months, we're going to open up for these countries, and it's never happening. And then we're not going to open up. We kick them out. And then we're going to open up. So I think even the tourism got a little bit less because of these issues. So I think for Sri Lanka to come back on the map, it should show the beautiful sides of Sri Lanka. That means also solution-based, and definitely work on the visa structure and process. Yeah. The speed is also a problem. Nobody's responsible. That means it takes months and months and you don't get an answer. So yeah.
Hoping to see changes in the new policies upcoming.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.